to Griffon Update Sports, a student-produced show all about Missouri Western athletics. We've got it all every week. Highlights, games, players, fans, and every sport all year long.
Welcome to the last Griffon Update Sports of the semester. As always, I'm your host, Bailey Ketchum.
And I'm Jake Michael. Not only is it the last one of the semester, but also it's Bailey's last show before she graduates.
It's a very weird feeling thinking I won't be doing this again, but let's move on so I don't get sad.
Today we're going to feature baseball, softball, women's golf, and football spring game.
We'll also have our sports roundtable.
This week we're talking NBA playoffs.
Oh, it's going to be a good one, that's for sure. Something else that was good was football's spring game on Friday.
Reporter Bo Baker was there to cover the action.
Football had their third annual spring ball game under Coach Williamson, and the defense dominating, showing that they have a bright future ahead of them.
One thing that I've kind of noticed about everyone is just that we're go-getters. If put something in front of us, we're gonna go get it. We're gonna work through it.
The offense wasn't in peak shape. They still had some bright spots to take away from the game.
The offensive linemen and running backs, the run game core will be really good because everyone is returning.
Both offensively and defensively, the football team has some areas they can improve in.
I feel like sometimes we overrun our gaps and stuff, or we don't get to our gaps quick enough, and it kind of comes back and bites us because we're really a gap-responsible defense.
The quarterback isn't the quarterback that was the starting quarterback last year. The connection with the receivers could be better, so I think that will be a focus.
The spring ball game showcases the grind that the team has gone through since the end of their season until now, and they definitely have worked hard.
From last fall to the end of the season, all the way up to now, it shows the progress that we made as a season, showed all the work that we did.
I think there are some times where it shows the accuracy, and then sometimes, things fall through, but that's just a game of football.
Justin Phillips, the ball carrier.
We look forward to covering football in the fall. For Griffon Media, this has been Bo Baker.
Spring game means the closer we are to football season.
True, but first we have to get through all these exciting spring sports, like baseball.
You're right. Baseball even played home this weekend.
Against the rival Bearcats, reporter Jessica Stallard was there for the exciting matchup.
Missouri Western opened up their weekend series against rival Northwest Missouri State with a 16-3 victory. In Game 1, Western gained the lead by scoring 8 runs in the 6th inning to eventually put away Northwest in 7 innings. Senior Casey Danley hit 2 of Western's 4 home runs in Game 1.
I think it was pretty well. I think we played our first game from start to finish. Pitching was excellent today. Offense was also pretty good, so I like the way we played today.
In Thomas Rui's first start of the season, he had 8 strikeouts and only gave up 3 runs in 5 innings.
I felt good. I felt like, we obviously did what we needed to do today. Took care of business. I was locating my fastball low and away, mixing slider in there pretty good. So, I just did what our game plan was kind of for them.
Head coach Buzz Verduzco felt that the team needed a game like they had to create momentum for this series.
Our team a little bit, and we got a great pitching performance out of Rui, and I think that was a big key too. Our offense came alive, which we haven't seen that for a little bit, so we want that to be able to continue as well.
Western was able to sweep Northwest by winning 2 close games. The wins pushed the Griffons to an overall record of 17-15 and 14-10 in conference. Western will travel to Pittsburgh, Kansas for their next 3-game series against Pitt State. Reporting for Griffon Media, this is Jessica Stallard.
I really hate that ugly green, and I'm very happy the Griffons won that series.
It's not that pretty, that's for sure. I know Kellen Richards on the baseball team isn't a fan either.
He's had to face them more times than anyone in his last 5 years here.
Reporter Gannon Cornley takes a deeper look into Richards' time here.
Fifth-year senior and left-handed relief pitcher Kellen Richards has seen much change and reconstruction throughout the Missouri Western baseball program. While some may have chosen to leave, Richards has pushed through all 5 seasons and never let go of what's most important to him: baseball.
And I've been here this is my 5th year, so I've been here 2 years longer than any other player on the team. But the thing that I've liked about that is the fact that over the course, I've seen many players come and go, but I've also seen how the coaching staff has developed. I've also seen how the consistency of what we do works, and so getting to be able to be here for an extended amount of time and kind of figure out what I have to do in order to fit into the program has helped me out a lot. And then also just the development that I've been able to get from being here time after time, figuring out what they want from me, and then kind of help other players figure that out too, and figure out how they can fit into the program. That's helped out a lot. And then of course helping them helping me pay for my education and all that, and going to school, and that's been real nice and real beneficial to me growing up as a man too. Is just how I've been taught how to be, and how you got to be as an athlete and all that. That's basically been my experience over the last 5 years. So one thing that is kind of interesting about college pitchers in general is a lot of the time we get a rap of like not necessarily doing all that much. We basically just throw, and then we go shag for the hitters, and we'll take a couple. We just catch for their batting practice, and that's pretty much it. And then we'll do some defensive drills, but we don't necessarily do a whole lot. But one of the things that I've kind of seen that's been important as far as pitchers go is the culture that you have to establish on the team, and also there's only one pitcher pitching at a time, and there's 20 of us on the team, so there's 19 of us at any given time, and we're in the dugout. You got to be able to be a good teammate. You got to be able to do all that, but then when it comes game time, you got to be able to focus up real quick and change from being a good teammate to being a competitor. And so it seems to be a lot more of a mental battle for a pitcher than it is a physical battle like it would be a lot of the time for other sports. But with that said, a lot of pitchers are absolute head cases, and so they have weird rituals, and but I'm very anti-ritual. Like I do the complete opposite of everything. Like one of the big things is don't step on the line. In baseball, the baseball world is don't step on the foul line. And I always make sure to step on the line every single game. Just I'm very, very anti-ritual, because if I get in my head too much, I am not going to be a good player.
Not heavily recruited out of high school, the Olathe East product from Olathe, Kansas stumbled upon Missouri Western and ended up finding a place he could call home forever.
I really didn't know that Missouri Western or Northwest or like half the schools in the MIAA were even around. But I knew about Pitt State, I knew about Emporia, and I ended up just emailing like the top 8 schools in the MIAA, like the top 8 baseball schools in the MIAA for that given season. And Missouri Western, Tony Loeffler was one of the few people who actually reached back out to me. So him reaching out and getting to talk to him and do all that, that's pretty much what sold me on Missouri Western is the ideas that he showed me, and also the fact that they were willing to take a chance on me when a lot of the other schools I was looking at weren't. So when I first was getting used to college baseball, I used to write a ton of things on the brim of my hat, just motivational stuff, telling you, attack every hitter, win every pitch, that kind of stuff. So then when you break it down into smaller increments, okay, hey, I just got to do this pitch well. Then after that pitch is done, then I got to do this pitch well. So then you're not thinking of a whole AB or a whole inning, and so that kind of helped me, keep my stress down. And then, another thing that I like to focus on is that, the job that I have to do. So like, instead of like, hey, I got to strike him out every time, like, hey, if I can get him to make contact and ground out to the second baseman, then I did just as good as I would have if I struck him out. So making things simpler for myself, and also allowing, my defense to help me out. That's, a lot of the big things that help me out, staying calm and, not freaking out when things get rough, so. Well, like when I think about, the crazy stuff that we've done, I think about, the fact that we went to regionals back-to-back years. That was an incredible experience. We worked really, really hard for it and just barely slid in. And the second time, and that was just an amazing experience to be sitting at the watch party. And we were the last team to show up on the board, and we were just freaking out. We were like, "Oh my goodness, did we not make it?" And then also, another thing is, we also have a pretty big rivalry with UCM, and we went from, 1 year we got completely swept by them, and then the next year we swept them, and so that, when I think of like crazy stuff like that, I don't necessarily think about, the funny jokes or whatever, but, of course those happen, but, I think about the times where, we all come together and then it ends up paying off, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Fellow senior and pitcher Carson Dwyer spoke on what Richards brings to the team and how important this final season is to the both of them.
Kellen's a goofball, man. He does what he wants. A lot of guys look up to him because he's kind of a leader on the team, and he's been here. He's seen the ropes. He's been here for 5 years. Just a good overall dude, means well, and just wants everybody else to succeed. Kind of just shows you what you need to do. Like if you're to learn a new drill or something like that, he knows everything, all the techniques, everything like that, and just a good person to take under his wing and just follow around with him, show you everything you need to know. It's been good, you got to learn to like bad things are gonna happen, stuff's gonna hit the fan, and you just got to learn how to take it and take punches and roll with them, And that's one of the things that Kellen does really well. He sees adversity, takes it, harnesses it, and then puts it back out there. Senior year means a lot. It's just because last year you got to show out, do everything you can to end on a high note, and so we're just trying to win as many games as possible and try to push for a playoff run now that we have 4 weeks left, and see what we can do.
Perhaps the most unique thing about Richards is being left-handed and how he can use that to a great advantage.
So usually I have a decent idea of when I would be going in a certain situation. I make sure to know where the lefties are in the lineup, and then I'll come down here and I'll do some band work, get the arm nice and loose, and then I'll start by playing some light catch, even if I haven't been told to play catch yet, just trying to play some light catch so that I'm, my arm's, ready to go, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you're pitching in 2 batters, and then, start doing that. And then the biggest thing is I like to establish my fastball first, so that, once I start throwing to a catcher off the mound, I'll establish my fastball, make sure that it's feeling good, and then I'll work on my slider, and then finally my changeup. And then, in case I got to face some righties too. And, but, you just got to get yourself ready from, just hanging out and watching the game to, okay, I'm about to be in the game. Mentally, hyping yourself up, demanding a certain amount out of yourself.
He's such an amazing guy, and I'm really happy he's still here.
I'm a big fan of another pitcher on the softball team, Lexi Kinnaird.
You're right. She's also pretty awesome and has a cool story.
I was able to talk to her about how she got to Western. It's never often that all of your work is done in one place, and for Lexi Kinnaird of Griffon softball, the same rings true. Kinnaird has gone from Division I softball to junior college softball, and now she's at Western doing what everyone knows she's capable of.
Coach Bagler reached out, and then everything just kind of fell into place from there. Originally
recruited to Wisconsin Green Bay, she only made 11 starts for the Phoenix. She then took her talents to Kirkwood Community College, where she compiled many individual honors and had a 1.93 ERA as a freshman and a 1.47 ERA as a sophomore.
It's definitely been different here, having 4 pitchers versus 2. I had 2 at my junior college. I had 2 all growing up, so it's been a lot different here. But I think it's been exciting to just see how all 4 of us can work together and be able to be successful with 4 pitchers. And it also just saves arms, being able to just rotate through pitchers. If somebody's having an off day, there's always another pitcher there to help back them up.
Playing absolutely stellar, and the team now sitting in a comfortable position in second in the MIAA standings, Kinnaird is happy about her decision to continue her career in St. Joe. She can't forget about who's helped her out along the way as well, and who's helped shape her into the person and player she is today.
I have to go with my dad, just because I think that a lot of my characteristics are shaped out of who he is, and he's just throughout all these years. He was my catcher growing up, and so we just like have always had this special relationship, and he's missed very few innings of my college career.
Reporting for Griffon Media, I'm Jake Michael.
I never knew that about her, but hey, have you ever met Chingy on the women's golf team?
I actually did a story on her once, and I might have to do another one considering how amazing she's been doing this year.
Well, someone already beat you to it. Reporter Sydney Durbin has more on the golfer's impressive season.
Shixing Ong, better known as Chingy, is one of the most known members of the Missouri Western women's golf team. This season so far, she has posted 4 straight individual wins, bringing her to 12 career individual championships in her time at Missouri Western. How did she wind up with 4 straight wins? According to Ong, it's her short game.
Mostly the putting. My putter has been really good to me, so that's good. So I think that's the key to this 4 wins.
Ong is just like every other person, though. It's not always easy, and her nerves still get to her sometimes.
Going into the first tee, I just tried to tell myself, like, just to calm down, not think about anything, just hit the ball and make sure it flies, stay on the fairway. So, yeah.
This is Ong's last year at Missouri Western, but her education doesn't end here.
I got accepted into a physical therapy school in University of Oklahoma. So that's going to be what I'm doing next.
Follow Ong on her final stretch here at Missouri Western before she heads off to Oklahoma to take on graduate school. This is Sydney Durbin reporting for Griffon Media.
Good luck to her and the team as they finish out the year.
We'll have more sports talk in our roundtable after this break.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Jake and I are here along with reporters Tanner Cobb and Bo Baker to talk about NBA playoffs starting. Jake, I gotta start with LeBron not making it in. How does that make you feel?
He's my king. First of all, I want to start off. I wore my red today because Tiger won the Masters.
Okay.
So shouts out Tiger. Great comeback, by the way.
You're right.
He's dominating the golf world again. Anyway, talk about LeBron. He looks like he's enjoying himself right now. I think having that April, May, June off, that's good for him. You know, it allows you to get your legs fresh. Start to digest everything that's been going on with the Lakers organization right now because it's not pretty right now. So him being out of it, it's not really a big deal. I think it makes the playoffs more compelling, actually. And again, you knew this was going to happen when you go to the West. It's tough competition, but then he had a groin injury. It's whatever. I mean, it just wasn't lined up for him. So it's just the start of the Lakers project. We'll see how it goes.
And the thing is, with him in the West, the East is wide open for anybody. He's dominated it for the last decade, and now it's up for grabs, really. So I'm really excited to see how the East turns out.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something that's going to be interesting to watch. But, I mean, the groin injury being out for 17 games, if he wasn't out for 17 games, the Lakers would be in the playoffs right now. Sure. And he would I feel like he would make a run. I mean, the West is definitely, of course, the better conference, but 1 through 4 in the East, we don't know who's going to make it out between them. So
no idea.
It's going to be interesting to see in the East definitely who makes it out now that LeBron's gone.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. Might be good for his body. Don't think it's good for his ego. I think he's probably pretty upset. But whatever. Let's talk about who are some of our favorite matchups for the first round games.
I gotta say the Denver Nuggets and San Antonio Spurs is going to be a good matchup. I know the Nuggets are the 2 seed, but they don't have a lot of guys with the playoff experience. I mean, Millsap's really the only guy who has played in series, and Isaiah Thomas isn't even in the rotation. He didn't even play in Game 1. So the Spurs just have Popovich, who's a great coach, just got his 1,413th overall win, making him the winningest coach ever, which is just amazing. That's just a great franchise.
Yeah, most definitely. I like the Sixers and Nets matchup too. I mean, Nets got a lot of young guys, a lot of dogs on that team. They're going to give them a run for their money. I think 1 through 5, you look at the Sixers and they got like 4 guys on there that are like max level players. Like Tobias Harris. Lineup. Yeah, their starting lineup's insane. But outside of that, you go to the bench and you lose a little. Now that series goes back to Brooklyn. tied at 1-1. So we'll see who takes advantage of it.
I think my favorite is probably Portland and OKC. You know, Portland's had some trouble over the past couple of years in the playoffs. You know, getting swept the last 2 years. You know, they're like 0-10 in their last 10 playoff games up until beating OKC the other day. So, you know, Paul George and Russell Westbrook without the hamper that is Carmelo Anthony not being on that team anymore, that's definitely going to help them in the playoffs. But I'll see they'll bounce. I think they're going to bounce back. I think that series is going to go 7 games, though.
They're definitely trying for Jennifer. You guys all saw that tweet. They're trying Jennifer. No, I agree with you on the 76ers and the Nets. That's a really good matchup, but I really don't understand why the 76ers aren't better. They have those 5 starting guys. Ever since the trade, I feel like, honestly, the trade wasn't as good as it should have been for them because their cohesion is just it's not good. Like, they're not meshing well. The Nets obviously were. Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, like, their offense was just crap in that first game. They didn't do much, honestly. Butler took over that game, but I really don't understand why they're not as good as they are. And then Nuggets and Spurs, I think that's a good matchup. But obviously, I'm looking at Celtics. Bummer that Marcus Smart isn't playing, but obviously Kyrie's still going to take over and own that game always.
See how he took that guy one-on-one, like, first shot of the game? I'm like, that's playoff Kyrie that I like to see right there. And that just gives them a leg up over every team because you got the best closer in the game. When things get tight, that's the guy you're going to go to. So, again, big question is whether these two teams, the Sixers and Celtics, have, now turned that corner, and now they're those title contenders that we know they can be. Mm-hmm. But, now they just got to assert themselves and show them it's playoff basketball.
My biggest question is the Raptors. I mean, they're a team that just struggled a lot in the playoffs. They're 2-14 all time in game ones. 0-10 in the first round game ones. They just lost to the Magic. Kyle Lowry is...
Never again is Kyle Lowry going to go scoreless in the entire game.
I hope, but, time and time again, he doesn't show up in the playoffs.
Correct.
And Kawhi Leonard just a big-time player who can potentially leave, and if he leaves, that franchise can kind of go downhill.
Yeah, for sure.
But that is the team that I've been big on all year, but losing the first game kind of has to give concern for the rest of the season.
I agree, but another series to talk about is the Warriors-Clippers series, just for the sole fact that,
we thought
it just got interesting. That's definite. The Warriors giving up a 31-point lead, giving up another 3-1 lead.
Biggest playoff comeback ever.
Probably lost Boogie.
And Boogie's out. They confirmed he tore his quad, so he's gone for the rest of the playoffs, which is sad. I know, dude, just coming back off of the Achilles injury, and now has the quad injuries that's out. But the Warriors have had Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee as their starting centers, so the center position has never really been something that's been a big concern for the Warriors, and I still think that they'll end up winning this series in 5. But it was just interesting to see the Clippers show that heart and determination that, usually being down 31, you usually saving the guys and getting ready for Game 3, but they didn't do that, and it ended up working out.
Which says a lot about how you can take that crowd out of the game, and then the atmosphere, it's like you just – takes the air out of the building. And so you start taking the air out of the building, and then what do you got?
I mean, they've been so dominant. They've only lost 6 playoff games the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're going to play the Rockets likely in the second round, and that could be a series.
That's probably the conference championship, let's be honest. Like, in the second round, come on.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Paul didn't get hurt last year. They could have easily beat the Warriors, and they had a historical bad Game 7 shooting, 27 straight missed threes. The Rockets were put together with shooters to try and beat the Warriors, so I'm excited for that series if it happens.
Okay, so you're saying, I was just going to say that. Is there any team that can beat the Warriors? You think the Rockets can?
I do think the Rockets can, yes.
Okay.
The Rockets are probably the only team, I feel like. Not even in the East, not an Eastern team. The only team in the West that can beat them is the Rockets. And I don't think that the Warriors will lose in the second round. I just don't see it in their nature.
I think the emotion coming into a Thunder-Warriors matchup can give them the factor. And Paul George is probably the only guy in the West that can match up with KD. And they don't have as much depth as the Warriors. And, Warriors are more talented. But without DeMarcus Cousins, Steven Adams will definitely have the edge. And that could be a series for sure. And Steph and Westbrook, 2 of the better point guards in the league, that'd be a heck of a matchup.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about that as well. But it's hard to say with George's injury. Obviously, he's saying that he's just going to push through the pain, but with him not playing at 100% all the time, that's the team that I was thinking could possibly beat the Warriors if they get past the Rockets. But I don't know about that. But in the East Conference, you don't think the Bucks could beat them?
Nah, I'm sorry. Really? I love Giannis. Giannis is one of my favorite players in the league right now, but the Bucks don't have the matchups at every position that they need in order to take down the Warriors in the 7-game series. They will get 2 wins out of that series more than likely, but if that's the finals matchup, it would be a 4-2 Warriors win.
I mean, Brook Lopez has really picked up his 3-point shooting, and Chris Middleton's playing really good. But, the Warriors are such a dynamic team. They've been to 3 of the last 4. They've won 3 of the last 4 championships without, a big-time center. So you're right, without Boogie, that does hurt, but it doesn't mean they can't do it.
Yeah, it says a lot about the evolution of the game. You don't really need a dominant center to win games anymore, especially big games like in the finals. I don't think you lose much when you lose Biggie or Boogie, sorry, Boogie. So like I'm talking about Brooklyn or something. But when you lose Boogie and you implement a guy like Andrew Bogut who just plays his role, doesn't play a whole lot of minutes, you can still win games like that. You don't need a dominant center to win.
All right, so let's talk about MVP race.
Giannis.
We mentioned Giannis. I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA right now. That's simple as that. To me, he's unstoppable. I think he's better than LeBron.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are just in the hot take business.
Very bold statement, Dave. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Currently, I think he is.
If I was channeling my inner Tyrell Carroll, he would say that you're out of your mind right now, and that James Harden is the best player in the league right now. He's averaging 36.5, 37 points a game. So
more to basketball than scoring, though.
It is, and that's what I tried to say. I think right now, and my MVP is Giannis Antetokounmpo because he plays offense very well, and he could guard some of the best players because he could give KD fits in a finals matchup. So that would be one of the players besides Paul George that can do it. And I believe, and he's led that team to a team that was historically not a very good franchise, and now they're the number 1 seed in the East. No one thought that was going to happen. So to me, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The Bucks haven't won a playoff series since 2001. That shows how poorly they've been in the playoffs. But he's able to drop 27 points a game without being a good jump shooter. So that just shows how powerful he is on driving, and people still can't guard him when he drives.
He's the most efficient scorer in the paint, which is scary.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is a freak, and he cannot be guarded.
Yeah.
A guy who basically plays a guard position, but has a better percentage than some of the best centers in the league. Actually, all the best centers in the league at that. That's just remarkable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we got Giannis, we got Harden. Top 2, yes?
Most definitely.
Easily. Okay. All right, who do we think, looking at it now, just looking ahead, final predictions, who do we think is going to be in the finals?
Oh, man. Now with the Boogie injury, I don't know.
Really?
I know, but and then the Rockets are coming into their own. They're just a very well-built team. You got 2 star players in it, one of them being an MVP caliber player, and then everybody's just a spot-up shooter. It just works well. It works well in the NBA, and then they got a very offensive-minded coach who's now evolving into kind of a defensive coach as well. You got everybody that just plays their role, and I love it. But I still got to go with the Warriors. It's just that hot shooting, man. Like they just scored a fast clip. It's so hard to keep up with. When that home crowd's behind them, that is tough to deal with. And then out of the East, the Celtics are going to get it together at some point. They look like they did Game 1. I know it's kind of early to assume that they got it together, but they got all the right pieces. I mean, and you got an unbelievable coach. The best closer in basketball, like I've said, and then just an awesome supporting cast. Losing Marcus Smart is a big loss. It's never a good thing to lose probably your best defender, but I think they'll push through.
I still think Toronto in the East because last time Kawhi Leonard played in the playoffs 2 years ago, he led the Spurs to a Western Conference Finals, up 20, gets hurt, the team blows the lead and gets swept. That's just how valuable he is to a franchise, and I think he will lead them to the finals. And I'm still thinking the Rockets can beat the Warriors, and I think that'll be the 2 teams in the finals because the Rockets' backcourt is one of the best in the league. And Curry is a great scorer, don't get me wrong, but he can't play defense that great. And if he's going to have to guard Harden or Paul, he had struggles last season when that happened. So I could see an upset in the second round.
Well, I mean, yeah, Steph Curry is actually averaging like 33.5 points per game over these first 2 games of the playoffs, and we all know how easy that man can heat up. And between him and Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, like, even when 2 of them are going bad, someone else heats up and then ends up helping them win a game. So the Warriors are just too hard to beat, in my opinion. I don't think anybody's going to stop them, at least not this year. And out of the East, I'm going to have to go with my MVP team, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm going to have to go with the Bucks. I think history is going to be made this year. They haven't won a playoff series since 2001. They're definitely going to win their first-round playoff series. And I honestly don't think that anybody in the East is – because the Celtics have had too many problems, and I honestly don't think they're going to get it together in time in order to be effective enough to beat them. And Toronto, like Kawhi, honestly, Kawhi's a great defender, probably the best two-way player in the league outside of LeBron James, and I don't even think Kawhi could guard Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that's who they would probably have to match up on him. So I think that Giannis is going to go ahead and average 30, and we're going to see them versus the Warriors in the finals.
Let's be honest, nobody in that conference can guard. Nobody in that conference can guard Giannis, so he's a matchup problem no matter who he's playing.
I agree with you 100%. I want Warriors and Bucks just because I think that would be a very exciting finals round. Having the Bucks win, I think it would just change NBA. I think people would be more interested just because the Warriors have won so many years, and it's kind of boring with them winning just continually, in my opinion. But I really want the Bucks, really want Giannis up there. I think that would be amazing.
But if the Warriors lose, do you guys think Kevin Durant leaves?
Yep.
I think he does, and that could be it for the Warriors dynasty.
I think it's a done deal whether they win or not. I think he's
ready to move on.
The story's been written in that part of his career. I think it's time to move on.
But he also said that he wanted to get his jersey retired by them. So you guys don't think that has any ammunition for him to want to stay?
People will say. I mean, he'll say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
You know.
But did he say that with the
Thunder?
Okay. He didn't say that with the Thunder.
He brushes off all the questions about free agency. He's like, I just want to play basketball right now. You know, don't bombard me with those questions. It's the right answer.
It'll be interesting to see. But, guys, it's been awesome doing this roundtable with you guys. I'm definitely going to miss all of you. This is our last roundtable, my last roundtable. So it's been awesome. After this break, we'll take a look at more results from our teams and this week's upcoming sporting events. Welcome back. Before we end the show, we want to give you some updates for all Missouri Western sports.
Track and field competed at Pitt State and had 4 event winners: Hannah Williams, Megan Gillen, Riley Gorham, and Julia O'Dear. Softball continued their win streak by sweeping Missouri Southern and Pitt State. And women's tennis beat Fort Hays 5-2.
For the upcoming schedule, baseball travels to Pitt State for a 3-game series starting Thursday, and men and women's track and field have the Kansas Relays in Lawrence starting tomorrow.
That's all we have for you today. For more information on Griffon Athletics, check out gogriffons.com. Also, check out Bailey's Sports Report on Griffon Update next week.
It's been a pleasure sharing my love for sports with all of you. I'm going to miss this for sure. From all of us here at Griffon Update Sports, thank you for watching.